Bloomberg Audio Studios. Podcasts, radio, news.
This is the closing bell on the Stock Movers Report. The companies making moves at the close of U.S. trading with Carol Massar, Tim Stenovec, Romaine Bostick, and Scarlet Fu.
All right, on the gainers side, a new all-time high for Fastenal. The company reported earnings earlier today. Shares 4% higher at the close. The company reported net sales for the second quarter that were up 8.6% over the same period last year. It did meet the average analyst estimate. We had Dan Florness on the show, the company's CEO. He said that his industrial customers are starting to see business turn around. Here's what he said, quote, "The knife has stopped dropping." What he was referring to is the trying to catch a falling knife over the last few years that really in the U.S. has been industrial production. I did ask him, and Norah asked him too, about the impact of tariffs. And he said they tried to move their supply chain back in 2018 during this first round. And they were able to make some changes, not necessarily bringing anything back to the U.S., just not possible right now. Too early to say for his customers, though, whether this new tariff regime will prompt them to move manufacturing back to the U.S.
It's just a reminder of how long it takes to actually move your supply chain back to the U.S. If they were talking about this back in 2017 and weren't able to get very far.
Yeah, I mean, do you remember the move back in 2017 and 2018 was to move everything out of China and like go to Vietnam or Indonesia or India? Well, now it kind of doesn't matter where you are if you're not in the United States because all of those countries are getting tariffed as well. Hey, did any of you guys see Superman over the weekend?
No. Was it good?
I didn't see it either. A lot of people did see it,
We
though.
look at you when we see Superman.
I was going to say.
Wow. Oh, you guys are the best. Warner Brothers Discovery shares up more than 2%. This after the company did say that they brought in at least $115 million domestically. It did take in $220 million worldwide. This according to a statement from Warner Brothers. $125 million in ticket sales in the U.S. So that did beat expectations of $115 million. This is just the opening chapter in a 10-year plan to interweave movies and TV shows based on DC comic book characters such as Batman and Wonder Woman. Haven't they done this before?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm just
They've done this. And so, I mean, I don't know. Do you think DC is going to get it right this time? I mean, everyone's saying, okay, you had a decent box office domestically, though don't look at the international numbers, Tim. Was not as good. But this idea that maybe they could finally build off this and actually truly build up something that's comparable to the Marvel universe?
Look, I don't know what it takes to have a successful franchise. No
I don't
question.
either, but I like the opinion.
But we can look and see what the Marvel universe has done, right?
The peanut gallery speaks.
Yeah, exactly. I think James Gunn knows a little more than we do when it comes to what makes a successful movie. And finally, I do want to talk about shares of Kenvue real quick. They finished the day higher today by more than 2%. It's the company behind Tylenol, Neutrogena, Listerine, formerly the consumer healthcare division of J&J. The company said that CEO Thibaut Mongon is going to leave the company as it continues to revamp. The board director, Kirk Perry, will take over as interim CEO effective immediately. They faced push from activist investors for changes on how the company is structured and run ever since it was spun off from J&J just a couple of years ago. Once again, Kenvue shares up by more than 2.2%, Norah.
Well, a couple decliners that I'm keeping an eye on right now. We had Waters, that is a life sciences company, about $18 billion in market cap. It fell for double-digit losses when we ended at the close today after saying that it'll merge with Becton Dickinson's biosciences and diagnostic solutions business in a reverse Morris Trust transaction. That's valued at about $17.5 billion. We had Jefferies analysts saying that they expect the stock to trade down due to the deal size and variables added to a clean replacement cycle story. But if you look at the stock on a year-to-date basis, down about 18%. I know it's Monday, but I did want to talk about an alcohol company. I'm looking at Constellation Brands, and we're seeing shares that also fell at the close today after President Trump declared a 30% tariff for Mexico and the EU, which, of course, we know these are key markets for those drink makers. So tariffs are really the story here. But this is a $28 billion company. They own Modelo, Corona, a lot of the names that we know here. But shares are down about 26% this year. So not great news here for the brand. Maybe people are going to healthier alternatives. We'll see.
I like the fact you picked an alcohol company because you really, truly are filling Carol Massar's show.
Have to live up to it the best I can. Also, Fluence energy. That's an energy. This is an energy company, and we saw energy is the worst performing sector in the S&P 500 today. And this was one of the names that was in the red. Mizuho cut the stock to neutral from outperform. They're also pointing toward this tariff impact, and additionally, the Republican tax and spending bills effects on the clean energy sector. The company is about $1.4 billion in market cap, but I'm looking at the year to date as well, down 50%. Not looking good.
All right, let's get a quick check on yields. Continue to see a steepening of the curve. Treasuries overall falling for a third straight day. That's pushing yields higher. But two interesting dynamics are playing out. One is obviously that you're seeing much greater moves in yields on the longer end of the curve to the upside. But on the short end of the curve, take a look at that. A 1 basis point move, 1.5 if you want to be particular, on that 2-year yield. And that has been the narrow range that we've actually seen on the shorter end of the curve now for quite some time. In fact, the past 3 sessions, we basically had 1 basis point, 1 basis point, and then 3 basis points. And then if you keep going out, it really doesn't get much wider than that. And I think it is kind of telling, Tim and Norah, this idea that maybe you have a market, at least in the Treasury market, with a lot of folks right now on the sideline.
The Stock Movers Report from Bloomberg Radio. Check back with us throughout the day for the latest roundup of companies making news on Wall Street. And for the latest market-moving headlines, listen to Bloomberg Radio live. Catch us on YouTube, Bloomberg.com, and on Apple CarPlay and Android Auto with the Bloomberg Business app.